This phone is the Samsung Galaxy S6, and it's insane because this phone came out 10 years ago. Literally 10 years ago. This phone was released in April of 2015, and today is May 2026. So that's only 11 years now, I think. So, anyways, how is it holding up in 2026, right? Is the phone still usable? Can you still use it? And the question is, it depends. Phone is a pretty old phone. As you can see, it has the big bezels and home buttons, like physical home buttons and all that type of stuff. And at the time, it was one of Samsung's biggest, achievements. And what is insane is, even though this phone is like decade plus old, this thing still has a 1440p Super AMOLED display. Like, it is just insane, right? Now, obviously, compared to a lot of modern day phones, even though yes, the display can go as high as 1440p, like a lot of modern day, mid-range phones, their displays are not so bad. And this one's obviously the Super AMOLED display of 2015. It's not going to look so impressive in 2026, right? But the phone display still really kills it, right? Especially when you're watching content, like when you're viewing stuff, the deep blacks and vibrant colors and everything, still really impressive. Now, what are the specs of this thing? So this one I have here is 3 gig RAM. Then it was actually 32 gigs of storage, but here's a fun little story for you. I bricked the phone, so I routed the phone before to flash custom RAMs and everything, so I upgraded it to Android 13, Android 11, Android 13, right? I was alternating within the two, and everything was going well. Then I actually wanted to sell the phone, so one of the features I put in the selling of the phone was, the phone is now upgraded to Android 13, so you can use it for like a normal phone. And that very day, the customer came to come and purchase the phone. The phone literally bricked in his presence, like in his very, very front. The phone just bricked. So at the time, it was working well. So I wanted to take it back to the recovery and ask him if he wanted it to just be like in the stock option, which is where it is currently. And as I was trying to demonstrate it and take it to the recovery and all that, the phone just went to the recovery. The recovery froze and it just breaks basically. So I spent a good few weeks trying to find the right firmware to restore it back to normal, and eventually I was able to do that, as you can see. But the firmware I now downloaded actually reduced the storage space from 32 gigs to 16 gigs. Other than that, the phone's still really fantastic. It has glass back also. It supports wireless charging as well. I think supports wireless charging. I haven't tested it, but I'm pretty sure it does. Have your good headphone jack, micro USB speakers. Then it also has an IR blaster as well, so you can use it to control your TV and stuff. I haven't really tested it because I don't really see the need. Just get a remote, bro. So anyways, enough talking. How does this actually hold up in 2026, right? So first of all, the cameras are actually not so bad, especially the back camera. So the selfie camera is pretty chopped, I'm not going to lie. It's not the worst, it's still reasonable, but it's pretty bad, right? But the back camera is what is very impressive. This phone camera, I've forgotten how many megapixels it is, like 12 or something like that. But what is impressive about it is this phone can do 4K 30 FPS, bro. 4K 30 frames per second. Like, this thing came out 11 years ago and it's capable of doing 4K 30 frames per second. While there are a lot of mid-range phones that come out till this very day that still cannot do 4K 30. So that's impressive as fuck. The front camera can go as high as 1440p as well. That's 2K. So the phone is it was really, really spec out phone. Like, a lot of people underestimate it when they just see it at first glance, because of the bezels and the older look and everything. But don't underestimate this thing. So day-to-day performance, how does it hold up? So honestly, you're not going to be able to do anything crazy with this phone, right? The only basic thing that you can see, WhatsApp messages, phone calls, messages, maybe to check my email and stuff. That's basically all I use it for. Nothing complex. Then to watch YouTube videos. So also all the Google apps, they are no longer supported. So the only Google apps supported are still Chrome and all that. So if you want to use YouTube or do anything, you'd have to go to your web browser. And that's how you access YouTube, right? Except obviously you flash a custom ROM and all that. After I bricked the phone before, I wasn't, I'm not ready to go back down that rabbit hole again. So, but in terms of, surfing the web, as you can see, the response time is still smooth. And that's the thing I like about it. As old as this phone is, this phone doesn't lag. It doesn't lag significantly. Obviously, I still try my best to reduce as much load. As you can see, there's barely any apps on this thing. But the phone doesn't lag for just day-to-day tasks, right? whether watching of videos, scrolling of the internet, sending messages, phone calls, all those type of stuff. It doesn't work. And if I play a video here, this also will give you an idea of what the speaker sounds like. Speakers are not, nothing impressive
The
about
older I
it.
get, the more I've realized how much time I
And now
have
you
to
can see that I can change the video quality. I can take it as it won't be able to play 4K. I've noticed it doesn't be able to play 4K smoothly, but 1080p it can run 1080p.
The older I get, the more I've goes. So while you're
So you can see
grabbing
this
trash
1080p.
bags and flattening out
So now
boxes,
let's just try 4K just for fun. But I'm very sure it won't be able to run 4K. Right. Even the internet is not fast enough to run 4K.
however,
Can
if
you
it wasn't
imagine?
for
It's
all those
actually
chores
playing
my parents
4K
forced me to
video.
do, I feel like
Like, that's crazy.
cleaning would have become something
That's just insane. Wow. The last time I tested it,
Up until this point, Swoosh had been
wow.
drying all of his
It's
dishes with
actually
paper
playing 4K video.
towels, which
Can
I
you
guess is
believe
good
this?
because
A
I
phone
just
that
assumed
came
he was
out
eating everything in his
a decade ago
bare hands like a
is able to
Neanderthal.
play
So I think I'm saving him
4K
money in the
videos.
long
Bro.
run.
I guess it also
really
kind
about
of
to
makes sense because obviously the phone can record 4K as well. But wow,
show
like
my
I'm
age here,
impressed. I'm
but
really impressed. But the last time I tried it, from what I remember, it wasn't playing. Maybe it was because the internet speed was slow. But since there you have it. Should you still buy this phone today? Right? Like honestly, except you are broke as fuck. Like if you're really broke as fuck and you have like very little money, then yes, this is a phone I can recommend you buy. But the thing also is if you want to use it, reasonably well, you would have to root it and flash custom RAMs on it because this thing is still running Android 7. And Android 7 in 2026 is barely holding up. Android 7 in 2026, like it can barely, like you can barely get any apps or anything like that. So as you can see, Android 7 nougats like this. That's what this phone is still running. So if you want to use it as a modern day phone, I would advise you flash a custom RAM. Except obviously you're just going to use it for like phone calls and text messages and basic pictures and email and WhatsApp messages, except for all those type of basic stuff, right? But if you want to really like use it for maybe TikTok, watch YouTube videos without having to go to Google Chrome and do a whole bunch of other stuff like that, you would have to flash a custom RAM in it. So also in general, would I just recommend it? Like I said, if you're extremely broke as fuck, right? Like if you have literally like very little money, this is a very good phone you can buy. So for example, in Nigeria, at least I live in Nigeria, so I can only speak for myself, right? I bought this phone 30,000 naira, but I'm even about to sell it for 25. So if you have 25,000 naira, this is a good phone you can buy. S6, S7 if you can get your hands on that, or even the S6 Edge. But because the alternative is going to be like Techno and Itel and Infinix and all those other type of phones, and they will just pale in comparison to this. Now don't be fooled because those ones, they might not have big bezels like this and all that. Maybe their screen might look a little more modern, but don't be fooled by the bezels and everything. This phone is still amazing, right? Obviously there's a thing I forgot to mention, there's a fingerprint scanner in this phone button, but it doesn't work anyway. So don't be fooled by that because it's still one of the best ones. If you can root it and flash a custom RAM and it's like it will work, it will even work 10 times better than it is in Android 7. But from my own personal experience, if you're going to flash a custom RAM, I recommend you flash Android 11. That's the RAM that I noticed works the most. Obviously it still had bugs and everything, especially when it came to like the camera taking of pictures or recording of videos. That's where the biggest bug was. But just other than that, every other thing works well. The Android 13 ROM didn't have the camera problem, but the issue with that one was it felt a little too heavy for the phone. Like you can just notice a little bit of lags and stutters, and they are just random times like the phone will just like randomly go off, or to just randomly hang, or just have a blue screen or something like that, and you have to like restart it. But with the Android 11, it was not very frequent like that. So, but if you don't want to go through the routine rabbit hole and just want to use it as a normal phone, then I recommend, if you are broke as fuck, yeah. But except you're just really passionate like me and you just like buying random gadgets, just because you can, then also I'll still recommend it. Also, if you're getting a phone like this, I think also it has a heart rate monitor. I've forgotten how to access it, but one will can check it out. So this is a heart rate monitor. I don't know why it activates when the camera is on. For whatever reason, it activates when the camera is active.